He fell in battle in northern Gaza. Sergeant Major in the reserves Chen Gross was from Gan Yoshia. He was 33 years old. He fell in battle in southern Gaza. Staff Sergeant Yoav Ravel was aged just 19 years old and was from Ste Valborg. He fell in battle in southern Gaza. Sergeant First Class Tom Rothstein was aged 23 and from Ramat Gan. He too fell in battle in southern Gaza. And Staff Sergeant Uri Yonatan Cohen was just 20 years old. He was from Neve Yarak, and he too fell in battle in southern Gaza. The Prime Minister described this tragic news of these fallen soldiers as extremely sad and terribly difficult. On behalf of all citizens of Israel, the Prime Minister sent heartfelt condolences to the families of our heroic fighters who fell in Gaza in the campaign to defeat Hamas and return all of our hostages. All of these 5 warriors gave their lives for the safety of this entire country. And so the entire people of Israel embrace their dear families in their heavy mourning. May the memory of our heroes be blessed and cherished in the hearts of the nation. Next, on the selfie yacht, as you will no doubt have seen last night, Israel took control of the selfie yacht. It went smoothly, thankfully, 0 casualties. They were towed to Israel's Ashdod port. We made sure they had plenty to eat and drink. And of course, they'll be returned home to their countries as soon as possible. On the subject of aid in particular, the selfie yacht had a really meager cargo, much less than even a truck's worth of aid. But of course, it will be sent into Gaza. For some context, as a comparison, in the last 2 weeks alone, Israel has facilitated more than 1,200 trucks, 1,200 trucks laden with aid to enter Gaza. The very latest figures from Gaza, from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, are that close to 11 million meals, that is 11 million meals, have been delivered directly to Gazans, getting it out of the hands of Hamas. And to those that really do wish to get real aid to Gaza, there are, of course, proper channels. There are organized channels. And to poor Greta, we say, who's really funding Gaza? Who's really feeding Gaza? And who's really feeding their own ego? Next, let me give you an update on Israel's counter-terror mission in Gaza. The IDF is striking Hamas targets and other terror organizations as part of Operation Gideon's Chariots. Hundreds of terrorists have been eliminated. There have been precise strikes on weapons warehouses, tunnel shafts, on sniper nests, on anti-tank positions and terror infrastructure, both above and below ground. I want to again reiterate that the identity of Mohammed Sinwar, head of Hamas's military wing, has been confirmed. He was one of the architects of the October 7th massacre. Where was he hiding? In Hamas's underground command center. And where was that? It was directly beneath the European hospital in Khan Yunis, a hospital which is paid for by the European Union. Israel's got a very clear strategic message here. Israel will pursue every terrorist leader until justice is done. Hamas routinely violate international law. They've embedded weapons and terrorist fighters inside schools, inside hospitals, inside mosques. It uses their own people as human shields. Israel, by contrast, takes extraordinary measures to minimize harm to civilians, including the evacuation efforts from active combat zones. Now, this war will end when our objectives are met. That is the return of all of our hostages, alive or killed. 200 hostages have now been returned or rescued from Gaza. 148, thankfully, alive, but sadly 52 killed by their terrorist captors. but 55 hostages, living and deceased, who were brutally abducted by the Hamas terrorist organization are still being held captive for 612 days now. So the destruction of Hamas's military and governing capabilities, the eradication of the terrorist threat from Gaza remain Israel's objectives, together with bringing our hostages home to end this war. Okay, that's the end of our briefing here today. Please put your questions now in the chat, together with your name and your news outlet, and we'll answer some of your questions. Remember, please put them in the chat of this Zoom, together with your name and news outlet. Okay, first question here I can see is from CNN. And CNN asking Nadim Ibrahim from CNN International, saying that you're saying that Israeli media is reporting that the prison services are preparing to receive the Madeleine activists and has prepared separate cells for them at the Givon prison in Ramle. Is there any truth to this? Where will activists be held until they are deported to their own countries? Thank you for that question, Nadine. I've already made clear in my briefing today that they will be returned to their own countries very, very short time. We've no wish to hold on to these people. They'll be returned to their home countries. And when it comes to this, flotilla, this wasn't a flotilla. It was a selfie yacht. Let's be blunt about it. This wasn't humanitarian aid. It's an Instagram activism. There was just one yacht. There were a couple of crates, of course, a camera crew. Less than a single truckload of real aid was on board. Meanwhile, Israel has delivered over 1,200 truckloads in the last 2 weeks. So who's really feeding Gaza and who's really feeding their own ego? Greta was not bringing aid. She was bringing herself. And she's not here for Gaza. Let's be blunt about it. She's here for Greta. Poor Greta. She's been alienated. She's alienated half of the world with this crying wolf, and now she's looking for her next bandwagon. This was a PR stunt, sailing under the flag of moral vanity. Here in the office, we call it the TikTok yacht. But we won't allow a dangerous precedent to dock at our shores. Letting this selfie yacht dock in Gaza would open the floodgates for Iran-backed terror, for extremists worldwide, and for every pseudo-activist chasing headlines. Israel's has a lawful blockade because it protects not just Israel, but the whole free world from the Hamas terrorist organization and their Iranian sponsors. Okay, next question. David Clement from the News Forum. What is the government's response to Greta's claim that she was abducted by the IDF? Thank you for that question, David. Greta released a video saying that she had been kidnapped. I think this brings a new definition to the word chutzpah. In more than 20 months, Greta has not found one single moment to call on the release of our hostages. Not one single moment. And she has the chutzpah to say that she has been kidnapped. Greta will be released, returned back to her own country very, very shortly, with the firm message that, this isn't a music festival. This isn't Glastonbury or Coachella. It's a war zone, and no country in the world would let a yacht of activists dictate our security. She's had 20 months, Greta, 20 months to say one word, just one word about Israeli hostages. Now, perhaps I'm wrong, but I've searched and I have not found anything. She said nothing. So forgive us all if we're not falling for her latest stunt. She's been silent on the victims of the terrorism, silent on the rapes, silent on the abductions of our people, 55 people, still people alive, 55 people, still people alive, held in Gaza. She's not called for their release. So her sympathy for the terrorists, while she says that she's been kidnapped, she's on the wrong yacht and it's heading the wrong way. Okay, next question, please. Okay, that seems to be the last question. Let's just one more check. Okay, that's the last question we've had today. Thank you for joining us. We'll have another briefing again shortly. In the meantime, you can contact us for any other information or for interviews indeed. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.